what do the contracts look like, the oil contracts for Kenya look like? Martin told you that they've spent $2 billion up to now on exploration, and they're going to spend another $3 billion to get the oil to Lamu. The exploration costs have to be recovered from the oil that is sold. This is called cost oil. So for every day we have a stoppage, for anything that happens that is unforeseen, we, the government of Kenya and the people of Kenya, have to pay that money back. Why is that? Tullow and the joint venture partners are what are known as the contractor. They are the contractor for the government of Kenya. Because oil exploration is an expensive and a risky business, we have other things to do with our money. For example, housing, healthcare, education, food production, infrastructure, and we do not want to take the risk of exploring for oil. So we invite oil companies to come, do the tests that they need to do, drill the wells that they need to drill. If they don't find oil, that is for their account. We do not get involved in that story. If they find oil and the oil is commercial, because you can find oil and it's not commercial, once we start producing, we have to pay back that cost. Okay. So why did we do early oil? We are exploring in northern Kenya. Between now and full field development, we will have to transport 1.5 million tons of equipment from the port to the site, and from the site along the pipeline route, so that we can build all the onshore facilities, so the pump stations and the heating stations. We decided we were going to test a couple of things. One of them, Martin has already told you about the reservoir. What does the reservoir look like? How many wells do we need to drill to go into full field production? And the only way you can know that is if you let the oil flow, and we did let the oil flow in what is known as an extended well test, but we only produced 90,000 barrels. Now we continuously want to refine that so that when we prepare the field development plan, we're doing it from a position of knowledge. That we're not drilling any dry wells, it's what's known as factory drilling. So you know where you're going to drill, and you just go out and drill those wells so that you make the cost of drilling as low as possible. To give you an idea, when we started this endeavor for exploration, each well was costing between $25 and $27 million. When we go into factory drilling, each well will cost between $2 and $3 million. But you can only do that if you know where to drill. Now the $27 million is whether you find oil or you don't find oil. You will have to spend that money. So that was the first thing. We needed to find out, what does this reservoir look like? And we continue to investigate it. The second thing we wanted to know is, how do we move logistics? How do we move the crude production facility that will separate the oil, the water, and the sand as it comes out of the ground? We needed to find out that, which we've done. We needed to find out community issues. What are the community issues? And sure enough, this was probably the most successful thing that we found out. Within 30 days of starting the early oil pilot scheme, we had a 2-month stoppage in Turkana. And we were able to address those issues, set up structures like the current grievance system that is there in Turkana now, which is chaired by the county commissioner, to address these issues as they happen. The ministry also then hired 8 community liaison people who will sit in the communities and find out what are the issues that are there. I think without the early pilot scheme, we would have been finding about these grievances when we are at full production. So to give you an idea, the current early production facility that is there costs maybe, I don't know, $25,000, $30,000 per day to hire. When we go to full field production, a well shutting will probably be $1 million a day. So if you are closed for 2 months, you know what it's going to cost you, and that money is for the people of Kenya. We are all going to have to pay for that money. So for me, I think, if nothing else, the fact that we are beginning to deal with community issues in a pragmatic way has been one of the greatest benefits for the early pilot scheme. And of course, the fourth part was to test the market. Now, in the old days, like for example, when we built our refinery in Mombasa, our crude oil, the refinery was built for Middle East crude oils, so Saudi and mainly Iranian, because the shareholders of that refinery at that time, Exxon, Shell, who were running it, BP, had their equity crudes in the Middle East. And they built the refinery to run Middle East crude oils. Of course, over time, technology has improved, and some of the more sophisticated refineries can run various crudes, and depending on the yield, that is how we calculate what is the value of your crude oil. So how much diesel do you produce, how much petrol do you produce, how much kerosene can you produce, and what is left at the end. Is it bitumen? Is it fuel oil? Is it some high value product? That's how you value your crude oil. Now, whenever you have a new crude, of course, the refinery has never seen it, so they don't want to take a big risk on it. They give you a discount. Now, the discount can be anything between $3 and $10 per barrel, depending on where it's coming from, the quantity, and what it looks like.